It's Catasetum season. Welcome to the Orchid Hut. Today's video is a featured orchid. Hello everyone, this is Dana. As I said in the brief introduction, this is going to be a featured orchid video. And yeah, I didn't quite catch this one in the prime of its bloom. However, I do have some footage of it when the spike was in really good shape, and I will be inserting those clips along the way. But this featured orchid is a Fredclarkeara intergeneric hybrid, After Dark Black Pearl. It's an award-winning intergeneric hybrid, and it's a cross between a Mormodia orchid and a Catasetum. And I'll put the details of that cross information on the screen. So this one grows pretty much just like any Catasetum. So if you're familiar with that growth pattern, you know they sort of have to be repotted when you don't disturb their roots. They are typically heavy feeders and very, very thirsty during the growing season. They tend to be a little bit prone to spider mites, so you do have to watch out for that. And, you know, as the orchid goes into dormancy sometime in the fall, the leaves begin to yellow and drop, and simultaneously the bloom spikes begin to appear, usually somewhere down the bottom of the bulb, and the plant is usually blooming well after it has lost its leaves. So as you can see, the blooms on this particular spike are dropping as I film this. These were male blooms. They lack the pouch that female blooms tend to have, and according to everything I've read, it's a bit more difficult to get female blooms. You have to have the exact perfect growing condition to get female blooms, and these are the male blooms. And yeah, so at this point, since all of the blooms are beginning to fall from this spike, I'll go ahead and I'll insert the footage of when this spike looked its best. Now, it did begin to bloom about mid-November, and so this is, let's say maybe 5 weeks later, and the blooms are dropping. So the spike did stay in bloom for a number of weeks. This orchid was moved into the house in my secondary growing space right when it first started to produce the spike. I moved it under the grow lights, and it continued to develop and grow there. And you know, the room where the secondary growing space is maybe like about 12 feet by 12 feet. And in the early morning is when the scent of this particular orchid was very, very strong. It did fill the room. And so one day I walked in there and I was like, oh my gosh, it smells like lavender in here. And this one spike produced a room full of lavender scent. However, if you got closer and closer to the plant and to the bloom, it was more of a spicy scent that was rather strong. So, you know, gorgeous, gorgeous, black, almost black, pure black colored blooms along with the scent, and that's pretty unique and rare for an orchid. So, you know, you grow this one just like the Catasetum, and now you can see that it has lost its leaves. This particular plant has been in my collection since the spring of this year, and it was already growing when I purchased it, and this would not have been my ideal potting setup for this plant. So I'm definitely going to be redoing this for the new growing season. And as you can tell, it will be losing many of its bulbs here when I repot it, and you can see that some of these are actually yellowing, and they're kind of moist and mushy, which is not a good sign. So I will be removing those and putting some cinnamon there so that that can dry up and not affect the canes that are the bulbs that are still green, which are these two. and maybe, let's see, one other small one right here. All right, so in an upcoming video, I will show you how I will be repotting this one. And, you know, I have really enjoyed having this orchid in my collection. I'm, I guess, really lucky that I actually was able to get it to spike, given the situation that it was growing in. It was outdoors all summer, in early morning sun, midday shade, late afternoon shade, and it was a heavy feeder. I did need to water it twice a day in the height of the summer months. But now it is in dormancy and will be repotted soon. Okay, so thanks so much for watching this featured orchid video. And as the year wraps up, I hope you are enjoying time with friends and family and reflecting on everything to be thankful for in 2022. Talk to you next time.